Hey everybody, Greg Rice here in Woonsocket, Rhode Island at the former Sacred Heart Church for episode 58 of Rhode Island Business Spotlight with Mayor Lisa. Mayor, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
This is great as well. And I want to tell you how the mayor and I originally connected. And I think it's important because organic relationships are hard to come by these days. And it was about 7-8 months ago, I applied for a tax treaty here in the city. And I went before the council, and the mayor happened to be at this council hearing and spoke out in favor of our project here. And we didn't talk prior. I didn't talk to any of your staff. You didn't talk to any of my team. It was an organic start. And that's what I love about that. You saw the benefit for the city, and that it's a win-win to give the developer some assistance, and that flourished.
Right.
So moving forward, we got the TSA approved, we have zoning approval, and now we're just waiting on building permits.
Okay.
So your administration has made this super efficient and easy, and I want to call that to attention because that's hard to come by. Amy Lombardo from ZDS, our architect, said, Greg, I've been doing this for 25 years and I've never, ever seen a city this amenable and friendly.
That is great to hear.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. No, it's great. That makes me feel good. It makes me realize that the process that we put in place is working. And if it's making the developer happy and it's making things move in a smooth fashion, that's the goal.
And that's hard to come by.
I've heard that from other developers. I was with a developer last week, and they indicated, I was with two gentlemen, and they indicated to me, we do business across the state, and the city of Woonsocket is the only city that brought us to the table, had a round table, had everyone who would touch that project at that table, and to reassure the investor that we're here to help you, not to work against you.
Correct. So round of applause for that. That is huge.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And the point I also want to hammer home here is that the mayor realizes that real estate creates economy, and economy creates legacy. Okay, there's lots of other things that towns do. They, programs, checks in the mail, little things to spur development and assist. But the mayor gets that it's real estate. So tell us how you came to that conclusion and why that's so big to you.
Well, first of all, real estate has always been important to me. I've been involved in real estate since I was 21 years old. I understand the importance of investing in real estate, and I understand the importance of investing in individuals who want to invest in real estate in a municipality. So I'm on the other side of it now. Right. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I understand that they don't understand because they weren't involved, right? So you have to experience to understand. And it's important to me that the reputation in the city of Woonsocket has changed. It's evolving. We were always known as the city that, was difficult to work with, didn't have open arms, wasn't business friendly. And in one of my first meetings that I had with some parties who were coming in, I had an event in Harris Hall, and I said, Woonsocket is open for business, and we are open for business. It doesn't mean we give the investor everything they ask for, but we certainly take what they request with strong consideration, see if we can work those numbers, see if we can accommodate, because we know if you have a good experience with us, that you will potentially invest again. Yes. And when you have folks investing in the municipality, that goes beyond the borders of Woonsocket. People learn that Greg invested in Woonsocket, Greg had positive things to say, and well, if he has positive things to say, you know what, we'll take a look at Woonsocket. We didn't look at Woonsocket before, but we're going to look at Woonsocket now.
Yes. That was interesting you say that, because I met with a lender here last week, and he said, oh, Greg, this is, Woonsocket? You're here? You guys are in Pawtucket, you're in Fall River, Worcester. And I said, Woonsocket is where it's at. And he was 57 or 58, so he has that old connotation that you're talking about. Right. So it takes something like this to show that the tides have changed.
I think so, and I'm glad you feel that way. And real estate has there's other areas of real estate. So I've spoken with agents, real estate agents, and we began the first in-house road paving program in the state of Rhode Island. I have a very creative, innovative director of public works with, almost 50 years of experience in the industry, and he came up with this idea of this in-house road paving program. So we save a significant amount of money if we can do the paving ourselves. We can't do all jobs, so we trained some of our staff, so it gives them a sense of ownership of the project.
Yeah.
They have their fingerprints on it.
Right.
And then the realtors say, when we have a listing on a street where the street is newly paved, it is such a much easier sell. People pull up, the road is smooth, it's clean. So I think we've paved close to 70 roads, which is a significant amount.
In-house.
70 altogether, I would say maybe in the 50s with our in-house. The very larger roads that are wider, generally we contract those out.
Makes sense.
So we've done things to change the feel of the city. When I was first elected, half of our streetlights were turned off.
Kind of like happening.
That's okay. There's a little feeling of spirituality in here. It's like someone's with us. The lights are going on and the lights are going off. So investing in real estate is, yes, having the right people at the table, hearing what your needs are from a tax standpoint, but making certain that if someone's moving into one of your investments, the street lights are on, the roads are paved, the streets are plowed, all of those things. Our enterprise, our water and our sewer, we have city water, we have city sewer, we own our own reservoirs, and we have never, in my 9 years in office, we have never had a water ban, we've never had a shortage of water, we have an abundance of water. So those are important things too when an investor comes in. 100%. So we're happy to have that, and we're proud of being able to offer that as well.
That's a great point. And to play devil's advocate, what is the soft underbelly that you are constantly trying to improve? Maybe logistically or infrastructure. What's something that you're always like, gotta get this?
Yeah, so hammering away. So what do we hammer away at? So we hammer away at things such as some projects we're looking at right now. And I am hopeful in this upcoming election. You never know who gets elected, but I'm hopeful that the folks that do get elected support a few things that are part of my vision. One is building a public safety complex. Our buildings are not, the majority of them are either too small or they're failing from a structural standpoint. So we're looking to build a public safety complex and consolidate some of those services into one building, which then puts those buildings basically on the market for investors like you to come in and say, hey, I like that headquarters on Cumberland Hill Road. It's got nice detail and architecture. That's one of the ones we would close. The other project I'm looking to move forward, I've been working on for a very long time, and I need the support, is a recreational complex at Cass Park. We're fortunate. For an urban community, we have a lot of parks. But the most important park to me right now is Cass Park. It's over 60 acres in our city, right beside our high school and our vocational school. And we need to bring our athletic fields there. We need to allow our students to walk out of school and be able to go and practice throwing the javelin, the hammer, football, soccer. Instead, our fields, some of our fields are 3 miles away. So I need the support for that. The other thing is a supermarket. I have heard loud and clear from residents of this city, they want another supermarket. We have a small supermarket. It doesn't provide everything, but it's there, and we thank them for that. But I do have a supermarket that wants to come into the city. They want to build at Barry Field, and I need the support of the school committee and the city council for that.
Wow. So exercise, you mentioned, is important.
Exercise is important. It is.
Nobody talks about that. It's so important.
It is.
And you're talking about logistically too, saving the parents from having to come and bring the student, and they can walk right next to the high school.
It increases involvement, it helps academically, it helps socially, it helps to keep kids in school. And there are some parents who they just can't get out of work to pick their child up at 2 o'clock to drive them 3 miles.
They work till 5.
Exactly. And there are children within this community that they want to play a sport, but they also have to work a few hours. And if you're utilizing time, 3-mile trek, right, then you're saying, I got to pick between either this part-time job or playing a sport. Right now, we have a young man who just graduated from Woonsocket High School, and he is a world champion hammer thrower. So he's destined to be in the Olympics. He's got a full ride. He's setting records across the country.
And hammer, you mean like hammer?
The hammer throw in track and field.
What is that?
We're going to get you a javelin and a hammer.
So
I'll bring that next
javelin,
time.
The hammer is
yes.
like a hammer?
Well, we'll get one for you. You're going to kind of twirl around and yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
So congrats to him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other success stories in Woonsocket can you bring to light? For example, I think there was a manufacturing plant that just, was it
So
Hill Road?
Resch Manufacturing.
Yep.
They are near Mendon Road and Cumberland Hill Road. They're on Mendon Road. They're at Highland Corporate Park, right at the base of Highland Corporate Park. So this is a sheet metal manufacturer.
Okay.
This gentleman was renting space, or is renting space, in Franklin, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So he is building approximately a $12 million manufacturing plant at the base of Highland Corporate Park. And he's moving his business from Franklin, from Massachusetts, to Rhode Island, right here in Woonsocket. So you don't often hear of manufacturing plants being built from the ground up, and he's building a manufacturing plant from the ground up. Yeah, so we're excited about that.
That's huge.
That's the biggest manufacturing project, I think, in Woonsocket in decades.
Yep.
And he is, the structure is up and they're still working, but we're really happy about that.
And what about the industrial trust across from City Hall?
Yeah, so that particular building, we've had a lot of problems with that. It's been deteriorating over the years.
Yep.
I do feel for the owner. He bought that with a partner. The partner passed away, and it was something that was, he tried hard to keep it going, to get it rented. He just hasn't been able to. It's been deteriorating. The structure is in a real bad way, and he's a really nice gentleman. But at some point, you know, we're really going to need to step in.
Get off the pot.
Yeah. I mean, we've tried our best, but we've shown it to a lot of investors. But it's just gotten to the point where it needs so much work that even if it was given to them, it would be extremely difficult for them to bring that back to life. But on Main Street, we have one of our larger buildings in length is the commercial block building. And that building was totally vacant a few years ago. And I've been working with the owners for a long time to try to get them in a better place. And a couple of years ago, I mentioned to them that there was an RFP out, and the governor had committed to bringing a higher ed center to Woonsocket. They built one in Westerly. It's extremely successful. And they wanted to build one in the northern part of the state. So I worked hard to get that to come to Woonsocket. And that is under construction. It's almost finished. It may even begin classes next week, but an official ribbon cutting in October.
Congrats.
So yeah, so we're really excited about that. So there are some entities in there that are familiar names to you, like CVS Health and AAA. So what they'll do in this school is whatever they have in vacancies in their company, they will train an individual and then immediately place them in the job. So the process years ago was you would train somebody, give them a certificate and say, okay, go find a job, right? And then they couldn't find a job. So what this is they identify the jobs that are open, they train you in that job, and as long as you're successful in that training, then they place you in the job. So you're going from training right into the workforce. And this will be right on our Main Street. It's the entire third floor of that building. The third floor is, it's 3 levels. They're taking the entire third floor. They're renovating the second floor now. We're working with them to try to figure out what would be a good fit on the second floor. And the first floor is all, retail. So there are some, as vacancies come about, we're trying to bring in some more like food industry type of retail there.
How about, talk to me about the riverfront.
Yes. We actually had a huge cleanup. It was called ZAP this past weekend.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, so we had a couple of hundred, maybe even more than a couple of hundred people in Woonsocket working.
Was that like a 50th year anniversary?
Yes, so this was all along the river, Pawtucket, right through from Worcester all the way down. And we collected a significant amount of litter and trash. Although people who did come to volunteer from outside Woonsocket said, your parks are so clean. Our highway department is out there every single day. We do litter picking every day. Obviously, we can't hit all 600 streets, but we try to hit the main streets, the parks, and the fields and things like that. And we didn't, 50 years ago, they were pulling out cars and trucks and motors and who knows, maybe even bodies out of the river, right? Yes, right. This year it was more of like the smaller type of items and things like that. So it was a successful cleanup, and we feel that the river is extremely important to Woonsocket. And we have acquired some properties along the river, and one in particular which sits right on the river in our downtown Market Square area. The bike path goes by. So I'm going to be looking to put out maybe an RFQ, get some ideas from some folks. We certainly could use, another restaurant. We could use a wine bar. We could use a cigar bar. People, I always try to move in the direction of what the people are asking me. And that's what I've done my whole time. When they speak, I listen. They wanted their streetlights on, I listened, I put them on. They wanted their roads to be in better condition, the potholes filled. We started a pothole, notification on our website. You notify us of a pothole, our crew is out there filling it. So you're not, driving, zigzagging around the city. In-house road paving, so we could pave more roads. They asked for a dog park. We never had a dog park. In an urban community, it's important to have a dog park. Built a dog park. We've taken down numerous blighted properties, and a lot of blighted properties were also renovated. So when people speak, I listen. And for years, people have been saying, we need our athletic fields closer to our school. And we're ready. We've gone before DEM. We've gotten our approvals. We've had our gravel tested. We have an abundance of gravel there. As you're aware, contractors look for gravel.
Couldn't you sell the gravel?
So we're selling the gravel. We will pay for the majority of that project with the sale of the gravel. So we are almost self-funding this project with the sale of the gravel. And that was something that...
Whose idea was that?
So my director of public works...
Can we name him?
Yes, Stephen D'Agostino. Shout out to Steve. He's my dear friend. He's my director. He's been with me maybe 6 months into me serving, beginning to serve. And we had gotten a grant from DEM. I wanted to build the girls' softball field. So incrementally, we've been improving the park. So we put in basketball courts, we took down some dilapidated buildings, and I said, we need to build a softball field, a girls' softball field. So we were successful. We got a grant from DEM, a few $100,000. So off goes the director, and he's down there, and he calls and he says, you're not gonna believe this. And I'm like, oh dear, what did they find there? The project is coming to a halt. I'm thinking dinosaur bones? Like, what did you find in this park? Right. So he said, you cannot believe this gravel. Wow. I said, okay, tell me more. He said, this gravel, like, if I looked at that gravel, I wouldn't know beautiful gravel from gravel that's not so beautiful, right? He said, this gravel is beautiful. And the mound that we would need to remove to build the football field and the track, we can sell that off and utilize those funds for this project. So we had the gravel tested, we brought in contractors, we said, do you have interest? So I'm just waiting, for a council that will support the sale of that gravel so I can begin that project. People are waiting for it. I'm waiting on it. I've been waiting patiently for over a year. So
Seems like a no-brainer.
it seems like a no-brainer. Now, I'm with you on that.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
So that, again, I listen. They want that.
Gotcha.
I want to build it. And the public safety complex as well. And like I mentioned, where our fields are now, it's called Barry Memorial Field.
Yep.
And there's a covenant there that was deeded to basically for the benefit of children.
Okay.
So our fields have been there. But when we build this new football field, for the most part, we'll have everything we need away from Barry Memorial Field and beside the school. That will open a 22-acre parcel on Route 146A.
What does it do to the deed restriction?
Well, we need to have the covenant removed.
Or maybe transferred?
Or transferred, exactly. We could
Gotcha.
transfer it over, so, we make certain that we're doing what they wanted.
And that could be the supermarket, you're saying?
Yes.
But what about Park Square Stop and Shop?
Well,
It's right there.
I see, this is interesting because
that's North
others,
Smithfield.
that is North Smithfield.
Okay.
And folks have said, oh, what is this mayor talking about? Stop and Shop is right there, and Aldi's is up the street, and Walmart is up the street. And I always say, and you can relate to this, it's not for me to tell you where you should be spending your money. If you want to buy Sacred Heart Church, and you know that your pro forma works, and you know that this is what you want, and you love the architecture, I could suggest there are other locations you may want to look at also, but I shouldn't be telling you, you shouldn't come here. You don't know what you're talking about, right?
What if I want to?
You want to. You know this is what you want. This is what you're doing. So although others may feel, well, we want a supermarket somewhere else, or why the heck do they want to build a supermarket across from other supermarkets or in close proximity? Well, because the owners of the supermarket, it's their industry.
Yeah.
It's their money. And if they feel it's their, they count rooftops, they look at traffic counts, they look at populations, they look at all those things, right? And when the supermarket owner, and one in particular, says to me, this is where I want to be, it's not for me to say, oh, you don't want to be there, right? That's not my job. My job is to try to accommodate that person, and not just accommodate the person, but accommodate the residents of this city that put me in office to lead and to listen. And I listen to them, and they want a supermarket. If I go knocking on doors right now, I will hear overwhelmingly, we need a supermarket, and when is that recreational complex going to be built for the children of this city? And not only the children, you and me, you want to go walk on the track, you want to get some exercise, you want to sit under a tree, you want to watch a game. It is for the benefit of the city of Woonsocket
100%.
and all of its residents and family and friends who come in to visit.
And a point I want to make is that it takes a long time in politics and government to get the wheels spinning. And a lot of people say, oh, let's switch who we vote for. We need change. The grass is greener. You're starting from scratch. And you have a mayor here that's going on 10 years of greasing that wheel, right? You got the staff in place. You got the mindset in place. Take advantage of that, right?
Thank you. Yes. So we know what we're doing.
Right.
Okay, I'm not patting myself on the back.
It's like a train. That
Right. We have the momentum, but as you know, in government, it's different than in private business. So I've been on both sides. In our business, if we wanted to buy a product, we'd check on that product, we'd find the best price, we'd buy it, done. End of day, I have my product. In government, depending on how much you're spending, you have to go out for bid, you've got to get bids. Everything moves slowly, red tape. That's the most frustrating part for me. But the fact that, you made a good point. I have staff that's committed.
Correct.
I don't have a lot of staff, but they work extremely hard. I want to give a shout out to all of them thank you for your continued commitment.
Mike DeBroy specifically.
There you go. Now, Mike
B.
is my newest director.
He's awesome.
That is the only department that I've had turnover in. And I had a dear man, and David was his name, and he passed away. And no offense to Mike, we love you, Michael, but if N. David hadn't passed, he would still be there.
Yep.
So basically, 9 years in office, this is my 9th year, I have the same director of finance, same director of public works, same director of human services, and same director of public safety, the same fire chief. The only reason I have a not new fire chief, police chief, he's been here 6 years, is because the former chief retired. He was ready to retire. So you usually see bigger turnovers in those senior staff positions. So when people say that it's difficult to work with me, if it was difficult to work with me, they would be gone, right? And you wouldn't be complimenting the staff on the work that they do and the approach that they take.
And I've noticed that just in months and weeks. And I don't even live here.
So thank you again for that. Yes, and that's the team. So thank you to the team. They really do. And Susan, my administrative aide, you work with her.
She's the best.
She's been with me right from the beginning, and she is very committed as well. And I appreciate that. Maybe I don't always show it. I'm busy working on things. My mind is going. My wheels are turning. I'm listening to what people want. But we know what people want, and we need working partners with us to move what the people want, the voice of this city. We need to move that forward, and we do that in a very structured and strategic way. You just don't move forward on anything. You have to make sure it's right. You have to make sure you can afford it, and you don't want to put in a burden on the taxpayers.
And talk to me about public safety, the complex too. I'm big on public safety.
Yes, me too.
I'm big on police, I'm big on fire,
I am
medical.
too.
Like, when people say less of that, or it's just, you need it to set the tone and to get compliance, and to ensure that everybody's behaving.
Correct.
So talk to me about how that would be a benefit, the consolidated complex, kind of like North Providence.
Well, that's the exact complex that we toured. So that's the complex that we're looking to. In fact, I have a copy of the plans. I asked the mayor, I asked the engineer if we could have a copy, review it. It's basically the size we need. We have a similar workforce for fire. We have more police officers than they do, but we could, tweak that building in such a way that we could fit everybody in comfortably. And what we would do is we would take 2 of our fire stations that are operating, 1 of our stations that is closed but is still utilized, not with engines and rescues, but still utilized. So that's 3. We would take our police department, and we take all 4 of those buildings offline, consolidate them into 1. And we would leave the 2 fire stations that we have, which are our 2 newer ones, on the ends of the city, right? So one would be up toward East Woonsocket, one would be on the south side, closer to where we are now. Those 2 would stay open, and then we consolidate the rest. I am a huge supporter of public safety. I know there are folks, defund the police and all of these things. I think that was terrible what the country went through. I don't support that at all, and I refuse to move in that direction. From a political standpoint, I don't get pressured like that. I know what's right. There's a sign on my desk, Woonsocket, law and order. That's what we want. When when someone's breaking into your house, you want that police officer at the door. If someone's just, took your child, you want to know where that child is. If, you have a family member that goes into cardiac arrest, you want that rescue. So I am a firm supporter of public safety.
Amen. And this is why I love this country so much.
Yes, I see that.
I wear American garb all the time. It's on my arms. It's the best country on earth.
I agree with you.
If we don't maintain it, what's the future like? So you are maintaining it, and I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to make a point to the audience or to the state, right? Anything that you want to convey to them?
No, I just want to thank everyone for the support over the years. I want to say that I've taken all these years to build relationships with people. Relationships help to move your community forward. It's important to have good, honest relationships with people. It's important to move your projects forward so they see that when they help you, that there's an end result. And I want to thank you.
Yeah.
I want to thank you and your
pleasure.
team.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled that you're doing this, and we really just look forward to watching it progress.
Same. Cool. So if you have any questions for me, put them in the comment field below. Any questions for the mayor, right there as well. And once again, Greg Rice here at the beautiful Sacred Heart Church. And hopefully next time we're here, it's a ribbon cutting.
Yes, we'll be ready for that.
So 32 beautiful market rate
Market
units.
rate.
Market rate units coming.